Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do The Incredible Hulk, issue 286 by Marvel Comics. Let's dive in. It's made by, the writer is Bill Mantlo, and the art is made by one of my favorites, Buscema and Kim DeMulder, who I'm not very familiar with. But we start here in the 41st century in the future, and we see the soldier, and I immediately been drawn in with the very first page. I see this guy, I see the war-torn surroundings, I see this really massive big gun, and then here, hero of the day. But who is this guy? Well, it really doesn't matter. What matters is that he thinks he is a good soldier, he obeys, and he is also being called hero of the day because he is slaughtering the enemy. And because at some point he asked instructions what to do, and then through the static crackling radio in the helmet, he gets the instructions, and the instruction says, smash the foe, destroy enemy. And then he says, destroy, destroy. Who? We don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. The narrative says, the soldier's charge carries him across the blasted battlefield, little with the debris of war. That he contributed to this destruction does not concern him, nor does the sight of the twisted corpses move from him to fear or tears. Though yesterday they were soldiers like him, today they are merely the dead. In war, there are casualties. Distractions this soldier has learned means death. So, but then there's also other people on the battlefield that get the same instructions as this unknown quote-unquote hero. And they also have helmets on with voices blasting through their, through the microphones saying to destroy the enemy. And then this is happening. Well, the enemy sees him in the sights. He's pulling the trigger. But at the same time, there's a gamma storm hitting our hero. But at the same time, he also gets blasted by a gamma discharge from this weapon. And then instead of, dying, he's disappearing. And then this enemy, who he is, doesn't matter. Who was the hero according to him, doesn't matter. What only matters is that he is now hero of the day. But they also have the same costumes. So if they looked a little bit further, they could have known that they are probably on the same side. But they didn't. They didn't meet. They just killed. And the killing goes over and over. So the hero is getting transported through time and space, and then we go back in the present, the 20th century instead of the 21st. We see Dr. Bruce Banner here, and he is in some kind of observatory, and he's doing what he loves the most, and that is being a scientist. That's what he's learned for. That is what he's living and breathing for. He loves being a scientist and, discovering things, and he also discovers, and through the bad weather, there is somehow a gamma storm raging outside of the Earth's atmosphere. And then, out of nowhere, some kind of a flying orb talks to him about that he created a gamma scope, so he is the only one that sees this. Now, who is this? According to Bruce, he called him the the recordosphere, and Bruce also gave it some kind of a personality, and which was not really his intention, but he gave it anyway. And so he says, I wanted some company, and basically, so they have a chat with each other. And so the recordosphere is here so that he has some kind of a mobile recording device, recording everything 24 hours, 24/7, what he's doing, what he's inventing, what he is saying. And then he's also being, at the same time, out of nowhere, blasted by a gamma storm or a gamma surge. And then he falls down, and then the sphere, shouts at him to, hey, change into the Hulk, save yourself. And that's exactly what he's doing. So in this timeline, Bruce Banner has been, I believe, been pardoned by the government. I don't. I believe there was the part that he, Jesus, this is a long time ago. He repelled some kind of a invasion, or that has something to do with the leader, I guess, and that he's getting pardoned by the government for all the destruction that he does. And yeah, and now don't call this guy Professor. I just hate the word Professor Hulk. Never liked it. I thought that word diminish the Hulk in general, because it's, yeah, you know, oh, he's now a wimp, but he's also a Hulk. Yeah, it doesn't fly with me. But yeah, this is just Bruce Banner taking over the mind, or is in control of the Hulk persona. And then he, you know, looks up, and then we see our hero teleporting in out of nowhere. He's still blasting because, well, that's what he is meant to do, according to the voices in his helmet. And so, but, you know, Bruce is not invulnerable, but let's say he... what happened to the colors, by the way? What happened? Just give me a second. Seems that oh, I'm sorry. Let's give it here a little bit more light. I'm sorry. So so Bruce jumps in, and he says, "Hey, I'm not your enemy. Just calm down." So he picks him up, and then the helmet falls off, and then he is going limp and losing consciousness. So what happened here? Well, we don't know. So a couple, you know, some hours later, or what later, Bruce is here, turning back into Bruce Banner, and says, "Hey, listen, be careful. Hey, who are you? Where do you come from?" And we're speaking the same language. But then our time traveler says, "King, where's King?" Bruce says, "King?" So he runs off because he says, "King gives battle strokes. Soldier must follow." Battle instructions? But all that ever emits from your helmet are endless exhortations to engage the enemy, to attack, to destroy. You are the enemy. Must find King. So he flees into his weapon and his helmet, and then narrator says, slipping his helmet on, he smiles grimly as he shouts echoes the orders he is so used to receiving. Smash foe, destroy enemy, destroy, destroy, destroy. And so yeah, we see here Bruce tries to reason with him, and he says, well, you are the enemy. But then, just like before, things are going weird. He's being, hit by, again, a surge from, the how do you say, the gamma storm, while shooting the enemy, also known as Bruce Banner, according to this guy. And then a portal opens again, and they, flying through time back into the 41st century. So he is home, but then he is shocked and enraged because he is not the hero of the day anymore. And he finds out that his fame is very fleeting. So, and mostly people probably don't see this in this time area because they're too busy dying. But then out of nowhere, there's some shouting, and then the enemy is here. And Bruce says, the enemy? How can you tell? They wear the same battle armor, bear the same weapons. What makes them the enemy? So the hero says, all are enemy. Have to fight the war. Can't go on. Destroy, destroy, destroy. You mean there are no sides in this war? You fight against anyone and everyone? So Bruce starts again reasoning with these soldiers. He said, hey, I'm not your enemy. I'm not from this time. But the soldier says, who is enemy? Not important. Life is war. Must maintain the war. Kings say all must die. And they're shooting at him with their gamma weapons. But then Bruce is, has enough and transform into the Hulk. And he is, kicking their asses. But that it seems that our hero is not attacking Bruce, but maybe slowly figuring out that not everyone is the enemy. And he also zaps a sniper that, came behind Bruce. And so, yeah, there's some changes going here, but there's a war machine that looks really ridiculous. Bruce, or Hulk, just jumps in and rips this machine apart, but also is amazed how advanced the technology is from this timeline. And then the hero smiles. He smiles what the Hulk is doing, what he's capable of, and he's also doing this. But then the enemy is not done. So, but then Bruce says, he says, I don't like it. I don't like being forced to fight. Even in self-defense troubles me. I find no fun in war, no fascination faced with war, but I have one desire to end it. But then the hero says, war never ends. War always was and always will be. War go on and on. No, only if you let it. Man start war, man can stop them. And then out of these, then the enemy, whoever they are, is, throwing null charges, and it penetrates the indestructible skin of the Hulk, and he's been now paralyzed. Well, the hero is smiling that he escaped with his life, and then he's been being picked up like a tractor beam or something. And so the narrative, he remembers that he would have been hopelessly outnumbered by the enemy had the Hulk not been here to help him. In truth, he realizes that he would not have survived. But that's war, the luck of the draw. One forget one's less fortunate fellows and carries on. Isn't that right? But then the orb is here and he says, and they call you a hero. So he's been transported to the city, and so the enemy is here. They are all cheering and laughing. And then we see the statue of Kang the Conqueror. And in this timeline, let's say Kang died because of fight with the Avengers in issue number 143. But still, his influence is here. And but these people don't know that he's died, of course, because Kang is, hopping through time all the time. No pun intended. And then, so the enemy says, destroy. And so Hulk realizes the helmets. That's it. A recording of Kang's voice transmitted through every helmet urges them on to senseless acts of slaughter. His voice has made me the enemy now. When I'm gone, they fight each other again. And then this platform that he is on is spinning and spinning and spinning. And he cannot, escape because of the sheer rotational force. But then he remembers that he is smart and that his Bruce Banner persona is now dominating, and that he is using his scientific mind to counter this rotational force by going with it. So he adds more force to it, and then this is happening, and he breaks free. So the enemy closes in, and Bruce says, tear off your helmets, stop the voice. And then our hero, without his helmet, says, they can't. Voice with all from birth, cradle to grave, all we hear, fight the enemy, destroy the enemy, no more. And he shoots then, Kang, and then we see that's just, he's not real, he's just a messenger, it's just a voice recording. And then the Hulk topples the statue over and destroys it, and it says the king is dead. So that must be it, right? Oops, more ads. So the hero pleads, no more king, no more battle strucks, voice gone, voice over, no voice, no enemy, no war. But the assembled masses pondered the soldiers' words for a moment, turning them over and over, examining them with thoughts unclouded in clamoring commands. But in the end, what he asks is too much for a world that has never known anything but war. They reject him, and then they are killing him. And Bruce jumps forward. He says, they cut him down. They didn't even listen. They wouldn't listen to him. His contact made me change him, made him receptive to another way. The rest, well, like he said, from cradle to grave, they never heard any other sound than Kang's voice exhorting them to war. After a lifetime of that, how could they help but to be deaf, to be a voice of peace? And then he's been teleported away. Well, this world is going on with their war, their eternal war. I must say, this is fantastic, but also really, really sad. I really like this issue because we see although this is a one shot, we see what happens when Kang, who has conquered many timelines and turned them into, war, destruction, because that's what he wants. He's a conqueror, he's a dictator. And unfortunately, it also reflects our real world. Our leaders tell us to go to war every time. We've seen it in the past. And unfortunately, it's probably also going to be in our future. Although I hope not, but, I'm a little bit afraid of that. So yeah, real life conflict reflected in a comic way in the 90s, through the ages. And we see Kang, although Kang is not here, but his influence is, going from time to time. His conquering is, reaping mass destruction, war, famine, etc. And this comic reflects that. I think this is a fantastic comic. Guys, let me know what you think about this. Let me know about your thoughts in the comments below. And see you next time. Bye-bye.